guys, shepherd's pie, greetings from the Philippines. Welcome back to the channel for a coffee and a chat. Now, this video may sound like a bit of a rant. Well, that's because it is. Because anyone who knows or watches this channel will know that I am generally a half full kind of guy, you know. I don't think I let things get me down. I'm quite a patient fella, you know. I usually look on the bright side of things. But this last week has been a bastard. It really has. And if you're thinking of moving to the Philippines, I think you need to consider things like this. Now, I'm not for 1 second saying don't come. This is not going to be a tirade about, you know, how terrible the Philippines is. Because it isn't. You know, I'm still here. I'm enjoying it. I have had a terrible week. But the last couple of days, things have improved a bit. They're on the up. But if you're thinking of moving to the Philippines, you really need to consider things like this. And they're going to sound petty. What I'm going to tell you now, I'm sure a lot of you will listen to it and think, what the hell is he complaining about? You know, why is he making such a big thing about it? Well, I am, because it's personal to me and it has affected me. And they will seem like little things, but it's the little things, they pile up. And they're the things that like push you over the edge. Now, I have been living overseas for coming up to 10 years now in different countries. So I am what I would call an experienced expat. So I can take a lot of these things in my stride. But some people who aren't perhaps as patient, aren't as experienced as living in foreign countries, you might struggle with this. And you need to think about it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe my week and why I am at the stage I am now, or why I was at the stage I was the day before yesterday, because, God Christ, I was pissed off. But I'm a proactive guy. I thought, you know, the way to solve this, what do you do in a situation like this? You grow a beard. You know, that will solve everything. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grow a beard and my life will improve. But as I say, I'm going to caveat this with one thing. I mean, because, you know, I am going to say some things which are negative about the Philippines. Because I'm being honest. I always try and be honest on this channel. Now, I am going to get some comments, I have no doubt whatsoever, from some people saying, if you don't like it here, piss off, we don't want you here anyway, etc, etc, etc. Well, listen, if you are a Filipino, fair play to you. That's your opinion. Then, you know, yeah, you're welcome to it. And you're right, maybe I should. You know, I respect that. I don't mean any disrespect to your country, I'm saying what it is. But if you're one of these bloody expats who you keep getting, oh, you know, we don't want you here and all the rest of it, well, with the greatest respect, piss off. It's not your country either. You've got no right to tell me where I can go, same as I've got no right to tell you where to go. So if you're a Filipino and you think I've said something wrong, do apologise. Don't mean any disrespect. I'm just telling it from my point of view. If you're an expat, go bowl your head, I don't care. You know what I mean? Not interested in what you think about me. I'm making this video just to get it off my chest and, you know, as a cautionary tale. I'm not saying don't come here, I'm saying you've got to be prepared for stuff like this. And I will caveat one more time. Ellen, my girlfriend, she has been more pissed off about this week than I have. So it's not just the case of me being some expat, you know, who can't adjust to life in the Philippines. This is a Filipino who's lived here for 28 years of her life, and she was more upset about it than I am. Okay, so, and I talk to other Filipinos, I talk to her friends about things come up. They're not happy about the things I'm about to talk about either, you know. So it's not like, you know, you shouldn't have to accept stuff like this in the Philippines. It should improve. Not because expats want it to improve, because the Filipino people want it to improve. But anyway, I'll go on now. You heard you know, I've mentioned it in previous videos. Countless people have said about the power cuts. You get power cuts here, you know. I've learned to live with that. You know, you can solve that problem. You can get a generator. You can get solar. You know, if you want to spend the money, if you're living somewhere permanently. We now, most of the time, the power cuts are advertised. We just go out for dinner somewhere. You know, we plan the day in advance. You know, a lot of people go down the beach. You can live with the power cuts. You know, they're not a problem. The infrastructure, yeah, it's not great. You know, there's lots of things here that, you know, that you're warned about. The healthcare system isn't great. You know, the food isn't fantastic. You know, all those kind of things. You can learn to live with that. But when you're having a bad week, it's the little things like I'm going to tell you about now. Now, as I say, this is personal to me. I had an issue. Well, this is what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say in a very tongue-tied way is, when you're living in a foreign country, things are going to happen, personal things to you, which are going to put you on a bit of a downer. But when you go on that downer, I'm not saying downward spiral, that's too dramatic. Little things will happen after that, which just keep pushing you and pushing you and pushing you. So, for example, I'm into my quizzes, and I'm a quiz master at a local place to do McGee, the Kingswick Hotel. I do a music quiz there on a Wednesday. And I was asked to do a quiz for another place this week where I went to, and I screwed the quiz up. I made the questions too difficult. It was a disaster. So that put me in a bit of a bad mood, because I was kicking myself for a couple of days after that. Because then why did I make it so hard? I hadn't intended to, it just happened. But I say that's personal to me. But there will be things that happen to you if you move here that are personal to you, and now, like, you know, put you on a bit of a downer. Now, because I was on a down, I wasn't happy. We ran out of water. Now, we've got those 5-gallon, you know, water containers. They call them gallons over here, you know, where you get the water. But I say that they're not gallons. I think they hold 5 gallons or whatever. But we're supposed to get our water delivered by the local water station. And we keep asking them to bring it on a Friday. Because theoretically, these people come down the road every day and you can listen out for them. But we asked them, can you come on a Friday? Because we got their phone number, but you phone them, they won't answer. Or you'll send them a text message, they won't come. Now, I've gradually got used to this, so what I do is a couple of days a week, if we're running low, I'll spend the day in the living room. It's a bit of a pain, because I usually spend it in the office or in here, because we've got aircon on. But out there you haven't, no aircon in the living room, but not really a hardship. But they're not been coming. So I then get home, I get onto Ellen, I say, you know, message them, tell them. She says, I have messaged them. So I'm like, well, message them again. Keep messaging them. This is a problem we've got to solve. Call them. So for 2 days, we're messaging and calling them. Nothing. Nothing. So I say, right, we'll sod this. We'll go down and see them. So we go down and see them. So look, and we weren't sure if it was the right water station. So we said, are you delivering to Harper Rock, you know, in Harper Rank? And I'm like, yeah. So as we walked in, the guy who was, see, when they deliver the water, they've always got the masks on, so it's hard to recognise who they are. But as soon as we come in, because there's this woman at the desk, you can see the guy looking round like, you know, what's going on? I think he's one of the delivery guys. He knew we were coming to complain. But we weren't coming to complain. We just said, look, we've run out of water. We need another gallon. You know, and we've been borrowing some gallons off a neighbour. And I wanted to get it sorted once and for all, so we could give them back. And I said, look, I want to buy a couple of gallons. So first of all, she says, why don't you message us or call us? And we'll bring it. And Ellen said, because I didn't really say much. I keep in the background. I let Ellen talk, you know, in situations like that, because they generally can't understand me, and she can talk in, you know, Filipino to them. But they start on with, why don't you call, why don't you phone? And she says, we have done. And they said, what number have you got? They phone the phone. So she phones the phone, it comes out. The phone's in a drawer, it's on silent. You know, so the number they're saying is cool. Anyway, we asked if we could buy 2 of the bottles, gallons. I said, we want 2 gallons, but I want to buy them off you instead of exchanging the bottles. She says, oh, we can't do that, we don't have the stock. You're looking round, and there are like loads of gallons in there. So I'm like, well, where do you get them from then? If you can't buy them, I mean, how do you get them? Because where I lived in other places, you just go in and you buy a gallon. But couldn't do it. So I said, all right, fine. Can you just bring us one out and take the one away? Well, at the end of the day, I came back. I've ordered 2 gallons of Lazada. They should be here in the next couple of days. They said, do you want them this afternoon or do you want them in the morning? I said, look, I've just bought some bottles of water. If you can bring them this afternoon, fantastic. If not, please make sure you bring it in the morning. They didn't come. Didn't come. Spent the whole morning waiting in there. So you're like, Ellen sent a couple more messages. How hard can it be to deliver some water? Well, they'll tell you themselves. They come up and down here every day. But they're not coming up and down here every day. So the next day, so basically for 3 days, I've been going and getting bottles. I've stopped. Each day she messages them, they don't come out. How hard can it be? But yesterday I went and bought some more bottles from 7-Eleven, come back in. As soon as I go through the door, there's a beep and the guy's there. I go out, he's got the hump. Someone must have had a go at him for not delivering, because he's like, usually they come out, they get the bottles or whatever. But I had to lift it off the back, give him the money. Still gave him a tip. He's like, thanks, and goes. So he had the hump anyway, sorry, don't care. So that sounds like a little thing. But it's damn annoying not having water. And you can't get your head round why you haven't got water. Because they're only just round the corner. I mean, I was getting to the stage where I was saying to Ellen, look, we'll have to get one of these, you'll have to hold it on the bike. Oh, I can't hold it. And I don't know how you do it, it's too heavy to tie. But I say, it's a small thing. But add that to the rubbish. Our rubbish is supposed to be collected every Saturday morning. And for the last 3 weeks it hasn't. You go and collect, you leave it outside, everyone's got their rubbish on the street, but no one comes. Now, as I say, things have got better. They collected it yesterday morning, Sunday now. But, what's the problem? You can't get your head round stuff like this, because if it was the UK, things aren't perfect in the UK. There are strikes and people don't come out, or there's this or that. But what I struggle with here is the blank faces. Because again, we didn't complain about the rubbish. We haven't said anything about it. But you're having to go back. You take your rubbish out, then you take it back, and it's piling up in the garden. You might say to a neighbour, well, why haven't they come? Is there a dispute? Has the council not paid them? Is someone sick or whatever? No one ever knows. No one ever questions it. So, as I say, these all seem like small things. I get it. But what I'm saying is, when you're having a bad week because of something else, these things have a knock-on effect. Now, we went out for dinner twice this week. Went out last night, had a wonderful meal at Latino's. That's what I'm saying, the things have changed. But in the last week, prior to things improving, it must be because I've grown my beard. I'm starting to grow a beard. That's because things have turned around since I said I'm going to grow a beard. Ellen looks at me like I'm mad, like what's that going to do? But things have improved. So we went out for dinner twice this week, different places. Both times, they screwed the bill up. Both times. We were virtually the only customers in there. Again, this is something. When you're in a good mood, you can laugh, you can say everything's more fun in the Philippines, it is, it's just the charm of the country. But when you're not in a good mood, when things are mounting up, when you haven't got water in your house, when your rubbish isn't being collected, throw in like an advertised power cut brownout. These things can get you down. And the same week, we went shopping in LP Hypermarket. Twice, the queues were so long. It was unbelievably long. I mean, whenever you go anywhere in the Philippines, if you go in Dumaguete, you can either go to Robinson's if you want to go supermarket shopping, or you can go to LP hypermarket. Now I might get comments saying go to the wet markets. Well, we do. We go to the wet market in Bacol 3 or 4 times a week just to pick up little things, vegetables, that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of things you need. You need to go to the hypermarket or the supermarket, Robinson's or LP Hyper or City Mall, one of those places. And you're always queue. You're always queue. There'll be like 4 or 5 people in front of you. It'll take half an hour to get served. But the 2 times we went in this week, the queues were like 3 or 4 times as long as they usually were. We gave it up. We didn't bother going. Because I'm telling you now, it would have taken an hour to get served. And you just find yourself questioning why. Why are the queues so long? Because you've got these long queues, but you've got like 100 staff just walking around the shop doing nothing. While this queue's going on, I'm sitting there watching it, you've got like these 3 assistants, whatever you call them, sitting around chatting, unboxing shoes to put them on the shelves. You know, you've got tills which don't have people working on them. And on every till, you've got someone bagging. And because whenever I go shopping, I'm always marveling at these queues, thinking, well, because when I was a kid, I used to work for Tesco's. I was a trainee manager there. If you go shopping in supermarkets now and you go back in the UK, you know, they've got these systems. They'll put an announcement. They need team members to the tills. They'll man the tills. You know, if the tills are busy, they won't have someone bagging. You know, they don't do that here. And I know you've got to have patience, but it's infuriating. You know, things like the power cuts, you can live with that. You can live with that. You know, they shouldn't happen. But you can say it's a poor country, it's the infrastructure. Personally, for me, they still shouldn't happen. If the mayors and places like this, you know, if they fined the utilities companies for the days that they weren't doing, if there were penalties, then they wouldn't do it. They'd buck up. That's why I look at it. That's the way it works in most Western countries. But we're not in a Western country, I get that. But the supermarkets, I just marvel at it. Because the days we are queuing, you sit there and you think, why is it taking so long? And the reason it's taking so long is because of the system, because of the guy bagging. You know, if you bagged yourself, it would be done in half the time. You know, but they have to bag it and then have to pin the receipt. It's like when you pay with a debit card here. I used to pay with my debit cards. You're always told, pay with your debit card because, you know, you'll get a better rate of interest. You know, I do with my cards, and if you draw money out of the bank. But you pay with your debit card, they scan it, then they go, then they write down this bit of paper, then they print out another receipt and they write that, then they have to type in a code. Every process in this country is so convoluted. Drives you nuts. Well, it can drive you nuts. Doesn't drive you nuts on a good week, but on a bad week, it will drive you nuts. It will all build up, build up, build up. Fortunately, where we're living, not much karaoke, so I haven't had that, you know, to add to the frustration. Although the road, remember I did a video a couple of months ago about how bad the road was, that is deteriorating. That is going to be a problem if they don't do something about it. You get a couple more heavy rains and we'll be back to square one, taking your life in your hands when you drive down there. But there are a lot of problems in the Philippines that don't need to be problems. And if you're not a patient person, you're going to struggle. If these things don't bother you, if you've been living here a while and you're used to it all, fine. I'm moaning. I'm being a moaning ninny today. Yeah, I accept that. I said it was a rant. Because once I've got this off my chest, I'll feel a bit better. And as I say, things have improved the last couple of days. But starting with the quiz, since then, every day has just been a pointless hassle, you know. But I have come to one conclusion, which I'll be interested in what people think about this, because it was like a eureka moment. A little light switch went in my head the other day, which is either a eureka moment, or maybe I'm just too stupid, I hadn't worded it out before. Maybe you'll be sitting there thinking, well, how long does it take, why is it taking him so long to realise this? But customer service in the bars and the restaurants in the Philippines is god awful 95% of the time. there are exceptions. And I've often marvelled at that. I might have mentioned it in previous videos, because in the UK, we've outsourced all our call centres, but we've outsourced them to India and places like that. And they're bloody awful. Really struggle to understand what they're saying. The accents are so strong. And they use internet phones, so the lines are crackly. It's a nightmare dealing with BT or something like that if you've got a problem with your internet. I won't go at anything to do with BT. If you're not from the UK, there's British Telecoms. They're one of the big providers, big private companies in the UK. But a couple of times, because I'm a hotels.com, I'm a gold member. So you get to phone their, if you've got problems with a hotel or whatever, you can phone their customer service and they'll deal with you. And they were Filipino call centres, and they're fantastic. They're so helpful, and their English is so good, and you know, that made me think when I moved here, the customer service is going to be great, you know, in the restaurants and the hotels. But it's awful, and I've never worked out why until I came up with a theory this week. I think it's because they've got too many staff. Because you'll go in a bar here, and there'll be like 5 people behind the bar, and no customers. You know, you'll go in a restaurant, and there'll be no one there, but there'll be like 4 waitresses and 4 bar staff and that, but you still won't get served, and they'll still screw up the bill. We went to Cafe Racer last week, had a great meal, but there was an American guy come in there, didn't know him, hadn't seen him before. You know a lot of the expats, but he come in, his Filipino wife or girlfriend and her sisters or whatever, they were sat on a table. He come in, sits down. We were already eating our meal. After 5 minutes, they get up and walk out, and he says to them, to the staff at the thing, you know, we're leaving because we've been sat here 5 minutes, and no one has brought us a menu over, so we're going somewhere else. And I was watching this because I'm thinking, that's not something I'd ever do. You know, I'd wait longer than 5 minutes, I'd accept that, but very occasionally I do leave a place. But I've never gone into, gone up to them and said I'm leaving because of this or whatever. Now, I'm not saying he should have done or he shouldn't have done. But when he left, you got these 4 staff who were at the counter. There were 3 waiting staff, and there was 1 guy behind the till. And they were talking about it. Now, I only know what they were saying because Ellen could hear because she was laughing. But they were blown away by it. They couldn't get their heads around it. And they're looking at each other saying, why did he leave? Why didn't you bring him a menu? Why didn't you? Why didn't And that's the problem. There are so many of them. Because there are so many people there, I think they kind of like, they absolve themselves of responsibility. They think someone else is going to do it. That's why our bills have been screwed up the last couple of nights. Because you've got someone collecting the food, you've got someone else, you could say you order your meal, you've got 3 different people that bring it to you. You've got, just got to do something. I'm back. I had a slight technical difficulty there, so I'm going to have to edit this in. Try and remember where I was now. Yeah, so that's what happens when you go out to these restaurants. There's a few expressions in there. Too many cooks spoil the broth. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. That's the problem. That's the problem. The 2 places I go here where you got the best service are the Kingswick Hotel and the Brew Garden, I think. They've got that because they've and they have very few staff, and they're good staff. But there's another place, I'm not going to name it, I go sometimes, and service isn't great there. That's why I'm not going to name it. I don't like to dig places out. But one of these particular days, 2 of the staff hadn't turned up behind the bar. So you just had 1 behind the bar and 1 waitress. And my God, the service was better. You know, you felt a bit sorry for her because she's like running around doing stuff. But no more than they would in a Western country. You know, that would be normal. You go into a pub in the UK, you might have a bar with 60, 70 people in there. You'll have 1 or 2 people behind the bar and a couple of waitresses. You know, and they'll do it and they'll be busy, but they'll keep on top of things because they know, and the more they keep on top of things, they'll get a tip, because they're focused on the job. Here, you've got Too many people. That's it. And I'm not saying they should employ less, I want people to have jobs. I'm not. I'm just saying I think I've worked out what the problem is. It's too many staff in a lot of these places because they get distracted. They talk to each other. Why go and take a menu to that when they expected someone else to do it? They just chat away. But look, I have said enough. It is what it is. This is a miserable video. I don't usually make videos like this, or I don't intend to. But I think it's important that you know, because see, the thing about being an expat, and I consider myself to be an expat, is it gets you thinking. It gets you wondering, is it time to move on? Is it time to go somewhere else? Now, because I view myself as an expat, I'm always prepared for that, But there gets a stage where you start to get, well, do I go back to Thailand? Do I try somewhere else? What if it will have the same problems? But I'm flexible. If you're in the UK or your home country are having problems, because we get this, nowhere's perfect, you have problems in the UK, but you can have it in your mind, well, I might leave one day, I might go somewhere. It's a dream to do it. When you're an expat, you think, you don't have that. There's nothing stopping you from moving to another country. If you're an expat, the kind I am. The reason I'm making this video is, what I'm worried about is the people who sell up and move to somewhere like the Philippines and think they're staying there forever. They're going to build a house or whatever, they're going to finish their time there. This is who this video is aimed at. You need to think very carefully, because it's only when you've lived, I've been here a year now, it's only when you've lived in a country for a period of time will you realise if it's right for you. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. As I say, I think I'm over this now. I think going forward I'll be making jolly happy videos, bestowing the virtues of the Philippines. But this week has been a tough week. And as I say, that's for someone who's used to living abroad, who's used to having hassles like this. It can get you down. So if you're not used to this kind of thing, if you haven't lived away from your home country, all I'm saying is the Philippines, Thailand, whatever, they've all got fantastic selling points, but they've got negatives too. And it's only if you've lived in a country for a period of time will you know if you can adjust to them. So don't plan to move to a place. Don't sell up and move everything there. Don't have commitments that keep you in the place, like buying a car, building a house, or that, until you've been here for a period of time, because you won't know. And you don't want to be in a situation where you decide you hate living in a place, but you can't leave because you can't afford to, because you've invested too much in that country. Or you can leave, but it's going to hit you huge in the sense that you're going to have to sell your property at a loss, etc, etc. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Just thought I'd make a video, on some of the pitfalls of the Philippines. And they are pitfalls, and there are lots of them. But overall, the country's still great. Still generally happy here. I just say there are just unnecessary annoyances that when you're in a bad mood, when you're having a bad week, these things can build up and they can get you to a tipping point. Well aware there are many people in the world who've got much worse problems than me. I'm being negative, I know that. I said at the start of the video, this was a rant. I know I'm very fortunate in so many ways. Get all of that. Doesn't change the fact it's been a crappy week, and there are things that that you've got to adjust to in the Philippines, and they're things that make no sense. Doesn't make any sense why they can't deliver the water to the house. What was the problem there? Why did it take a week? Why did we have to go without water for a week when the place is just over there? I mean, it's less than a kilometre away. And every time we go there, no problem, we'll be, and they don't, It shouldn't be that hard, just stuff like that. the rubbish. Why aren't they collecting it? Why does no one know why they're not collecting it? I say they collected it today, but 3 weeks in a row, you put it there, it doesn't come. Everyone's like, oh, they've not come today. But no one knows why. I can guarantee you, the people who collect the rubbish live somewhere in this barangay. Why does anyone ask them? You know what I mean? Why don't you know what's going on with the rubbish? But you just don't know. You never know when it's coming. Anyway, I've gone on far too long. I hope the video didn't depress anyone. I hope you know, if you stayed till the end, I don't think I was moaning unnecessarily. If I was, I apologise. Just wanted to get a few things off my chest. And what is the point of having a YouTube channel if you can't get things off your chest? Anyway, if you like the video, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, it would be fantastic if you did. Whether you do, whether you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, be lucky.